Join the collaboration as we look and listen to those who will form the next government inside Raw Politics.
Welcome back to Raw Politics. In our program this evening, the skirmishes in southeast St. Andrew. And I'm sure our guest, the council caretaker for the Trafalgar Park Division, the PNP's Julian Robinson, will remind us that it's not all of southeast St. Andrew that seems to be in conflict. Let me remind you, we invited the opposition spokesman on information, Senator Dwight Nelson, to join us. He was unable to join us. So that's why we have an empty chair here. Also in this program, political trivia tonight. How many general elections have been held in Jamaica since universal adult suffrage in 1944? The answer later in the program. Good evening and welcome to Raw Politics, Julian Robinson.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
What's happening in southeast St. Andrew?
Well, I think as you rightly said in your introduction, it's not the entire constituency that has issues. I think there are two areas, in Woodford Park and along the Mountain View belt. But just to place it in some context, the constituency starts in the north at Matilda's Corner. It goes all the way down to Halfway Tree on the left-hand side, across Halfway Tree to Crossroads on the left-hand side, down to Slipe Road, the top part of Torrington Bridge, North Hero Circle, into Woodford Park, across Deanery Road, Langston Road to Mountain View, and then all the way back up Old Hope Road to Matilda's Corner. So I think it's important that we don't give an impression that the entire constituency is somehow facing turmoil. But we have had a number of incidents in those two areas. There appears to be somewhat of an escalation in both areas, which really is a cause for concern to us as the political leadership in the constituency.
Let me spend a little time in terms of the political geography, yes, and the voting patterns over the years, so that people have an understanding of what we're dealing with. If you begin along the politically volatile stretch of Mountain View Avenue,
right.
Yeah, it begins from Matilda's Corner in Ligony, going south towards Windward Road,
correct,
where it intersects with Eastern St. Andrew on the other side of Mountain View and East Kingston below Langston Road.
Sure.
When you leave Nannyville going south along Mountain View Avenue, the Nannyville community tends to support the PNP.
Strongly, very strongly. And that has been so for some time and continues to be so.
And as you go south?
It tends to be along the Mountain View belt, in particular Lower Mountain View around Jakes Road, there's strong support for the Labour Party there.
And then right across the road?
Well, in Eastern St. Andrew, we are on the right-hand side going down. Right. On the left-hand side, which is Eastern St. Andrew, the Saunders Lane, Jarrett Lane communities, strong People's National Party support.
And the Jarrett Lane versus 63 Mountain View Avenue, a flashpoint. Correct. Again, Jarrett Lane being Eastern
St. Andrew,
but 63 being Southeast
St. Andrew.
And 63 tends to support the Labour Party,
correct,
while Jarrett Lane supports the PNP.
Correct.
And then further down the road, you have Jakes Road. Now, where's 4th Avenue in all of this?
4th Avenue is in the McGregor area, which is, in a sense, behind Jakes Road. So if you would enter McGregor, if you went down Mountain View, you turned on Langston Road, about the second or the third road on the right-hand side that takes you into McGregor. And that has been traditionally strong support for the People's National Party.
Woodford Park, another community that has been making the news for the wrong reasons. Locate Woodford Park.
Woodford Park, in the past, very strong support for the People's National Party. I would say it is more mixed now. My recollection
or is it swung to the Labour Party?
No, it hasn't swung at all. It's mixed. I think the results of the last, both the general and the local, I think we ended up at about 60-40 vis-a-vis the Labour Party. So there's been growing Labour Party support there.
And not in the majority now, you'd say?
I don't think so, no, not by our reckoning.
No, the political clashes along that corridor, the Mountain View corridor, Jakes Road, 4th Avenue, is it that people are playing politics or is this criminality?
I don't know. I don't want to ascribe a motive because I don't have evidence to do so. But it has been relatively calm up to the last couple of weeks. If you take us back probably 6 months, 9 months, there really hasn't been any major incident along the Mountain View belt. I think the tension started to rise after we had our meeting in Halfway Tree, and then it resulted in some shootings which took place. And then I think last week, Saturday in particular, there was a lot of shooting along the belt, and over the last week, almost on a daily basis, there has been shooting. Thank God, no fatalities, but a number of persons have been injured.
But here again, the question of the role of the political leadership and the security forces. And it's a tough job.
Correct.
Because you have a lot of willing hands, yes, who are young men in particular, who are prepared to risk their lives, and they have ready and easy access to guns and ammunition.
Correct. And but it's important to note that that may not have anything to do with politics at all. You have young persons who will grow up in a community that is aligned to a particular party, and then bordering them is another community aligned to another. And for reasons, they are acculturated to believe that that person is my enemy, and as such, you know, conflicts arise, which may have nothing to do with local politicians intervening or playing any role.
But some progress was made in the Mountain View Avenue
Absolutely.
area.
There has been the Peace Management Initiative, which I think was specifically born out of the conflicts along Mountain View. There's been the Mountain View Development Council, and over a period of time there has been quite a few interventions on the part of both organizations, which has maintained some level of peace and stability. As I said, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks we have seen a breakdown, but efforts are being made to ensure that we have peace as we go into
What's
the
the quality of the communication, the relationship like between the incumbent MP, Maxine Henry Wilson, and her JLP rival, Joan Gordon?
They are a phone call away. I know they have been in discussions. Certainly within the last week, there have been certainly a couple of the incidents, I think, on either probably Tuesday night, they spoke to each other. So, I mean, the relationships are, they're professional, and I think...
But is it that the two candidates, the two political leaders in the constituency simply do not have the kind of authority to impose their will?
Absolutely. I wouldn't make any bones about... Well, let me speak for the Member of Parliament. She certainly doesn't have the control over elements that might be running afoul of the law. Absolutely not. You know, I mean, you can try and use persuasion to encourage persons that they shouldn't be engaged.
But these same persons
but I
will
think
tell you
it's
that they
important.
fire a gun in the interest of the people.
Well, they may say that, but, you know, the reality is...
They defend their party.
Well, hold on. The reality is close to election. Anything that happens, if you and I have a dispute and I want to settle it, and I settle it, and it's a personal dispute, it is labeled
But that
as
is rather
political.
the exception, rather
Well,
than
I
the rule.
don't know, because I am not, well, I speak for the People's National Party. There has certainly been no intervention, either explicit or implicit, on our part that has triggered any of this unrest.
So people are just defending their party
but
on their own initiative?
As I said to you, if you grow up in an area where you believe that the person next door is your enemy, tensions rise, there may be some kind of dispute, it escalates. It doesn't take a lot for two communities to be at war, you know. A man could go on, in Jamaican terms, go and check a girl in another community. That leads to a dispute. It becomes political, right? I am telling you, on our part, there's nothing that we have done, right? And I can say categorically that has led to this escalation. Nothing at all.
We are going to take a break. We're getting a report. I'm not going to say it yet until I can have it confirmed, because if that is so, it's very, very bad news. But you're watching Raw Politics. Let's go to the break.